Hello, my name's Luke, and this is the first video in what will perhaps be a series of whiskey tasting videos for, let's say, regular folk. I picked up a Glenmorangie sampler pack at Costco recently, and I thought I would go through and taste this and just give you what a regular Joe might taste out of it. So here's what it looks like. Inside this box, let's see if it focuses here. So we've got Glenmorangie the original, which is the standard Glenmorangie bottling. It's a 10-year-old, bottled at 43%. Then, so that's over here, Glenmorangie the original. Then Glenmorangie Lasanta, which is a Glenmorangie. Let's see here. This is 12-year-old. I believe for all of these, they take the Glenmorangie, the original, and after the 10 years, they mature it in some other kind of cask for 2 additional years. So the Lasanta is matured for an additional 2 years in sherry casks. But then instead of being bottled at 43% like the original, it's bottled at 46%. Then just over here is Glenmorangie Quinto Rabanne, or Quinto Rabanne, as I believe it's pronounced. And that's, there we go, finally focusing, matured in port casks. So perhaps I'll get a little bit more of a red wine tanniny flavor there. Whereas the sherry cask maturation will probably be, I don't know, a little sweeter, something like that. And then finally on the far side here is the Nectar door, which is matured in French Sauterne casks. And I don't know, I've never tasted that as a wine, but I believe it's some kind of white wine. So let's open this up. This is a 10 centiliter bottle of Glenmorangie the original. There it is. And I've gone through and tasted all 4 of these, but I'm going to start with Glenmorangie the original and just work my way down the list, and we'll see what I taste. So I have a Glencairn here. Pour this out. Right. Okay, so this color here is, I have a little color chart here on my other monitor. This is basically amber. Do I have a white piece of paper? There you go. Yeah, pretty basic color. Nothing special. So let's have a taste or a smell. It's a very delicate nose. Not a whole lot of heavy, like dark fruit scents. I guess I would say floral. Let's see what my notes say here. Yeah, it's more of a white sugar as opposed to a brown sugar. I remember smelling apples when I first smelled this, but like a green apple, but I don't smell that at the moment. It's smelling more of like an applesauce, something that's been cooked a little bit, kind of like a warm apple. Okay, so let's have a taste at full strength. It tastes like what I would expect from smelling it. It's kind of like a white sugary, somewhere between white sugar and brown sugar. Delicate in the mouth, not a whole lot of smoke, just kind of a fresh tasting whiskey. see what I wrote. So I've tasted this one quite a number of times myself, and I have some notes here of my tasting when I wasn't comparing to this set. And I've written down vanilla on the nose. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the taste is sort of like a honey, which is not so much like a brown sugar molasses treacle flavor, but more of a, and not a white sugar, but sort of somewhere in between, right? Kind of a syrupy, but not too heavy syrup. Okay, so I'm going to add a little water. In my tasting experience, I've found that I've started to add more and more water to take it down. I don't know. So I'm just going to add a bit here. That was probably, I don't know, 2 tablespoons, something like that. Yeah, so the alcohol is not hitting me as much there. After that, it's much easier to take in. Now, I've read some other people's tasting notes on this, and they say there's a final hint of ginger. But I have yet to taste a whiskey that has a final hint of ginger. I don't know what that's like. I guess it's kind of a spicy taste, but I'm not getting that. The finish is kind of just a medium, gentle finish. Not really much bitterness, just a teensy bit, perhaps. Not bad. I really like Glenmorangie. It's this Glenmorangie, the original, is one of the, I guess it's the best selling in Scotland. I don't know. I don't know what its sales are like in the U.S., but it's quite good. I think it's one of the better malts to pick if you're just starting out and you want to start tasting some things. So let's move on to Lasanta. This is matured in sherry casks for an additional 2 years after the original. Let's see if I can get that to focus. To kick in, come on. Well, you may have to just, let's see here. I bet I can do this. Trick it. There, that's a little bit better. Right, well, at any rate, I'll give it a go. So the Glenmorangie original was just a pretty straight up amber color. I've got another Glencairn here ready to go. So let's see what I get here. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Now, compared to the Glenmorangie original, this Lasanta is considerably darker. So it's been matured in sherry cask. I don't know what sherry looks like straight out of the cask, but this is something like amber +2, and it's got just perhaps just a hint of redness to it, kind of like a rum. Okay, so let's see. This one's bottled at 46%, and on the nose, this is much heavier as far as like a sugar goes. So not a white sugar, but more of a brown sugar, molassesiness nose to it. Like a red fruit, kind of a deep red fruit. I definitely smell the sherry in there, actually. If you get like an Oloroso sherry, just the cheap $6 bottle, very similar nose. Smells much like this. I've seen some notes that say there's some tobacco in here. I'm not getting that at all. Wow. Yeah, definitely very sherried. So let's see what it tastes like. It does taste like Glenmorangie. It's a deeper flavor to it. Once again, kind of that red fruit addition to over the original. I like sherry. I like even the cheap sherry. So this is I like this one a lot. It smells very nice. I don't taste so much the sherry, but I definitely smell the sherry on this one. I'm going to add a little more water here. Yeah, so I guess if you were going to pick a fruit for this, it would be like a raisin, I guess. It's kind of a sweet, darker fruit, kind of a syrupiness to it. As far as the finish goes, it feels a bit longer than the original. I have not been able to pick up in my tasting experience, which has only been 8 months or so, any kinds of flavor differences between the initial taste and the finish as you're letting it sit. This one, I guess I taste a little bit more sherry in the finish on this one than when it first hits the mouth, which I don't really taste any sherry in that case. Yeah. The taste is not as interesting as the nose, actually, in this one. I enjoy the nose a lot more than the taste of the Lasanta. Very well, so let's move on to the Quinto Rabanne, or Quinto Rabanne. So this is matured in port casks, so I'm guessing it will have a little bit more tannin to it, something more like red wine. That's what it looks like. At least that's what this little bottle looks like. And this is bottled at 46%. Yes, it looks like all the non-original expressions have been bottled at 46%. So let's see what this guy is like. As I'm pouring this out, I'm noticing that it's got a significantly more red color in it than the others. So here we go. And just to compare against the Lasanta, over here, this is the Quinto Rabanne, and here's the Lasanta, right? So the Quinto Rabanne is a bit darker, and then compared to the original, you've got an even lighter color to it. Surely that's because of the cask that it's been matured in. And this is, yeah, this is like Amber plus 3 on my color scale, with even more red to it. So let's have a smell. Yeah, so I'm not getting the sherry, obviously. I don't drink a lot of port, so I don't know much about what that's gonna give to the nose of this. I guess I get a little bit of like a red wine kind of nose to it. It's definitely similar to Lasanta. This is kind of a more of a darker sugar nose. If I had to pick a fruit for this, you see what I wrote on my notes previously. I guess it would kind of be like a boiled pear type of nose. Okay, so let's have a taste. Yeah, so I get a little bit more of like a red wine flavor here. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Lasanta actually, with a little bit of red wine kind of flavor. Let's see what adding a little water does. And this one's interesting. I think this is probably my favorite so far. It's kind of I guess it's a little bit, it feels a little fresher than the Lasanta. On the nose, at least. In the mouth, it's got a little bit more, it feels like it has a little bit more depth. I can't put my finger on some of the flavors that I'm tasting, and so I think I might enjoy tasting this a little bit more. It's more creamy than the Lasanta or the original. The finish, once again, it's the situation where I'm not getting any different flavors on the finish as opposed to what I taste initially. But the finish here, as far as like any kind of lingering bitterness, this one feels like it's the least bitter. I'm trying to pay attention to any kind of wine, red wine taste. I'm not getting much in that respect. Maybe just a little bit. But I would expect some kind of tanniny red wine taste, but I'm not getting that. Maybe just a little. Interesting. I think this is my favorite so far. I would enjoy tasting this a bit more, but let's move on. So this is the Nectar d'Or, and this has been matured in Sauterne casks, and that's spelled Sauternes. There, you can see it. And that's a French word. I don't know anything about Sauterne wine. I tried to find some at my local wine store, and they don't have any. I think it's kind of a more rare wine, but I believe a Bordeaux is similar, and that I haven't tasted either. I'm not much of a wine drinker, so let's have a taste of this. There we go. My fourth Glencairn. So compared to the other Glenmorangies, this one is somewhere between the original and the Lasanta as far as color goes. So here's the comparison to the original. There we go. Original being this one here, and this is the Nectar d'Or. And then here is the Lasanta. There we go. So you can see this being the Nectar d'Or. Well, okay, you can't tell actually. I can tell. So yeah, a lot closer to the Lasanta in color. Let me just see on my color scale here. Yeah, something like an amber plus 1. Yeah, I guess an amber plus 1 or 1.5. Not really any red in there. So okay, so let's see what it smells like. Wow, it really smells like sherry to me, honestly. Just going to compare to the Lasanta. Okay, so the Lasanta is creamier than this. At least Now I've added water to the Lasanta, and I haven't added water to this yet, so just keep that in mind. It's more of a brighter fruit nose to it, like a green fruit. Lots of citrus, actually. Yeah, like a lemon rind, something like that. Oh, kind of a lighter citrus as opposed to like a lime or something like that. That's interesting. Okay, so let's taste it. Yeah, so this one tastes like tastes to me like Glenmorangie original, the standard bottling, that's kind of just been amplified a bit. The sweetness is a little stronger. I'm getting like the freshness is kind of just more fresh. And there's just teensy bit of the deeper tones kind of in the background, I guess. So like the brown sugar is not really on the forefront, but kind of just a little bit of there. Let's see if adding any water does anything. Let's return. The nose is more like the original at this point. You just compare. Yeah, okay, so the original has a bit more of a like a clean soap smell, not in a bad way, but just in a nose way, a whiskey way, as opposed to this, which is kind of, I guess it's got a little bit more of a creaminess to it. I've seen some people say that there's like a white pepper taste in here, but I'm not getting that at all. When I've tasted some tequilas that definitely have a pepper taste to it, and it is nothing like this. Interesting. So I think if you like Glenmorangie, this Nectar d'Or is good if you are feeling that you've found the bottom of your Glenmorangie and you want to go a little level up a little bit, I guess. If you're looking for Glenmorangie that's been twisted a bit by some maturation, I would say that the Quinto Rabanne is probably more interesting. It's got Glenmorangie in the background, but kind of something else added to it. Interesting. So this Nectar d'Or, yeah, not too bad. Finish-wise, you know, it's similar for me to the original. Just kind of a medium finish. Feels pretty standard. Something they're not trying to go overboard with anything crazy. Just, you know, kind of finishes off simply. I've also seen some notes that say there's ginger in here. Don't know. Not getting it. I would expect that to be kind of like a spiciness, but I'm not getting any kind of like a sharp spice like that. Okay, so if I was to put these in order, I would say that I like the Quinto Rabanne, firstly. There it is, empty. And then I would say Nectar d'Or. There we go. Okay. And then Lasanta. There. And then finally, last of the list is the original. But it's worth noting that the original is really a good whiskey. I really like that Glenmorangie original. For, you know, 35, 40 bucks, it's a great buy. So I hope this has been helpful. Hopefully we'll have some more videos in the future. But yeah, enjoy your whiskey, and I'll talk to you later.